I think the reason to see this movie is because wildly entertaining and really fun, but it's unlike any other movie that you're gonna see. You know, a lot of movies when they're made at this scale tend to be kind of superhero movies or tend to be a remake of something else or a franchise, and this movie is none of those things. It is totally interesting and original, but it's got all of that really fun action and stuff that you would expect from a movie of this scale. I think he's one of those really rare people who can create an entire world that you completely buy. And I've thought about it a lot, and I think it's because I think that's what really, like, this genre really requires. Like, I remember talking to James Cameron before he did Avatar, and the way he talked about the world it was like talking to somebody, you know, who had been there. You know, if the place was totally real to him, it completely existed, and he could explain it to you down to, you know, the last blade of grass, and that's what it was like talking to Neill about Elysium and this future Earth that he was creating. He understood everything about it, why he'd done it exactly how he'd done it, every little detail. He had a whole separate book of weapons and cars and spaceships and you know, just with every little detail. And you could ask him questions and he would answer as if these things were real and they really existed. And I think kind of visionary directors like that are really the only ones who can create really kind of these incredible comprehensive worlds in this really great science fiction. I've worked with a lot of great actors, but I've worked with very few who are as inventive and imaginative as Sharlto, and I can only imagine what he's gonna do in the next decade. You know, he reminds me of Heath Ledger. That kind of that restless creative spirit that he has, and you know, that inability to sit still, and it's like things are always percolating with him, and that tends to get really, really interesting performances. So, you know, District 9 I thought was one of the best kind of male lead performances in recent years, and this performance is also very, very, very different from that, but also very layered and deep, and you know, he's also an excellent writer, so he'll improvise and he'll come up with really great stuff and really great concepts, and the concept that he had for the Kruger character was really turning him almost into a zoologist, like, you know, or an anthropologist, a guy who has kind of ceased being human almost and is kind of interested in how humans behave the way they behave. And it was just some really great ideas and thought went into that characterization. I guess I sort of got involved when I first saw District 9 and was so blown away by that movie that I instantly started researching who the hell Neill Blomkamp was, and he kind of moved to the front of the list of directors that I really wanted to work with. And then sure enough, his very next project came my way, and I had a chance to sit down and talk to him about it. And I knew I was going to do it, whatever it was, just because I was such a fan of his work. But when I went and sat down with him, he pulled out a homemade kind of graphic novel that he'd done on his computer, with all of these images, like of you know, the space station and the Max character with his exoskeleton on, and all these, you know, weapons and vehicles that were like, every little detail had been seen to, and I had never seen anything like it, and I just, you know, I kind of leafed through this book and my jaw just kind of dropped lower and lower as I looked at all these really arresting, incredible images, and you know, that was how he got me involved.